Hey, good day to you. We do have a pretty active weather day with rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Tornado watch right now in effect for the eastern half of Ohio, into central Ohio, back into Cincinnati area, down into Kentucky and West Virginia. This could be expanded further to the east, but for right now, it's a lot of gusty thunderstorms, not a ton of severe. You have snow showers out across portions of Iowa into Wisconsin. And yeah, definitely plenty of complexes of rain and storms into the warm sector. Now, this is going to spread eastward as we go throughout the day across Pennsylvania and New Jersey, in towards DC a little bit as well, and then up through the northeast. So current radar showcasing some pretty strong thunder boomers in spots across portions of Ohio, leaving damaging wind gusts, and then you don't have too much once you get closer into upstate New York as that warm front moves on through, bringing in much needed mild air and a few showers scattered about the Baltimore, Washington into Harrisburg area here this morning. Look at those temperatures, 75 to about 78 degrees in portions of Jersey, 66 New York. You got to go well up into New York to get into that cold weather, 47 degrees. A little bit north of Albany. But then look at Chicago. You're out of the warm sector, 37. So cold air definitely coming. Severe thunderstorms in that cold front area with the warm air across the East Coast here during the course of the afternoon today. Much cooler weather starts to settle on in as the day goes on throughout portions of Indiana, Ohio, into western New York as well. So yep, definitely a wind threat across eastern Ohio through Pennsylvania. It'll start diminishing because it's going to come through late in the day into the evening as we go on in towards Allentown, Philadelphia, New York City. Tornado threat, definitely a big story across portions of eastern Ohio, West Virginia, southwestern PA. And yes, I do think that lingers because of where the position is of the frontal boundaries and different outflow boundary interaction as you get closer towards Baltimore, Washington, but definitely going to be winding down east of there. This is what things look like. You got the cold air off on the west side, showcasing rounds of showers and some thunderstorms. Let's go through and break that down here. Shut off the webcam. All right, so this is the main complex that's going to be pushing its way on through. You can see it's going to move pretty quickly as we get on in towards late afternoon, early evening hours across western PA. Now pushing through West Virginia, into Virginia, through central PA, into the Syracuse area. And then as we go on in towards 9, 10 o'clock, you can see here across portions of Jersey, Philadelphia, New York City, into New England. That's going to be the main complex here. The better rotation elements are probably going to be further on the south side, embedded. It doesn't look anything too crazy, but as this passes on through, you could see Boston getting in on it late tonight. Colder air filters in on the backside of that system, and we are going to be looking at some snow showers breaking out across portions of maybe DC, into State College, into York. Now, I don't expect any kind of accumulation on the backside there in those areas as we go throughout tomorrow, but where there's lake effect bands that set up and where there's colder air on the backside further north, yes, there could definitely be a little bit of accumulation. And then another system, this is going to be kind of an organized clipper to some extent as we go on in towards Friday. The snow side of it, at least the widespread accumulating snow side of it, stays fairly north, but there could be a brief band that drops a quick half an inch or so across, again, upstate New York. It's been quite the busy winter. Then up into Montreal, throughout Maine. You got the back end snow here. That will slide through. There could be a little bit of lake effect banding that comes in across the southern Great Lakes. And that system then moves on out as we go throughout Saturday in through New England with that trough. And then another system that we'll talk about here in just a tiny bit moves on through. Wow. Well, you can see this system getting fairly organized into Sunday morning across Michigan, back into Wisconsin, into New York State. So really going to depend on how far northwest this tracks, but it looks like the original first band will clip. Wow, yeah. So not much in the way of northeast Ohio snowfall, southern Michigan, but you could pick up a couple inches downwind as you go further into New York State. And then, yeah, depending on how the systems come together, especially into the higher terrain, not the valley areas, once you get kind of north that Hudson Valley sliding off towards the northwest, that is where we have to watch for a few inches of accumulation, but very little Albany, Poughkeepsie, Hudson, and we're not expecting anything more further south into the I-95 corridor at this point. But along the mountain chain, I mean, you're definitely going to get the chance for some accumulation, just minor. So this is the Sunday system then. And again, I think on the northern side of this, that's a pretty organized snowmaker, but it's going to pull in enough warm air on the south side where this is going to be more rain, more thunderstorms once again, sliding up into Pittsburgh, into New York City, into Boston. But there's some very cold air on the backside, especially relatively speaking for this time of year. So I do think snow showers do at least break out on the backside, but I don't think there's going to be too much of accumulation, again, outside of lake effect bands and some troughing that will develop at times in your Tuesday. So we should see some accumulation, maybe Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and again, maybe more, certainly for upstate New York. And then it's a cold pattern for, let's say, about a 3-day period or so. So that's kind of the overall scoop going forward in the next couple of days. This is what's going to be the overall pattern change. I mean, you're going to see that big ridge across portions of the east really get kicked out. You're going to separate that ridging. You're going to elongate it to essentially the west coast and off the east coast, and you're going to bring down what that typical NAO pattern is, the negative NAO, and you're going to push in some pretty good troughing. So we're talking about very cold weather, again, for a day or two, but it's going to start really the trend of chillier weather as we go forward. So temperatures quickly back into the 40s as we go into the second half of the week, and then comes at least a little bit of a colder batch. It milds up again for a day or so as we go throughout this weekend. You can see that push again of widespread 60s, maybe some 70s in there, but as we go into Sunday, but very cold weather on the backside with the cold front coming through, and then that is about true Arctic air into Minnesota, into Wisconsin, into Michigan, certainly into the northern Great Lakes, Hudson Bay, for again a day or two. Lots of some 20s and 30s through Wednesday, and into Thursday we're going to start moderating once again. So that's the scoop on everything. Thanks for watching. Take care. Be safe.